Welcome again. My name is Oliver. I'm an alcoholic. I'm so happy to have you here again. Today we're going to see the second half of There's a Solution. This is an amazing chapter. We've been having great experiences in my homework group with my people, and this is something that I wanted to bring up here in this bigger group. We've been applying all these principles in our current affairs, meaning what's going on in our lives currently. A lot of us haven't had a drink in a very long time, so we try to apply whatever we read to our thinking or our feeling or our perception. If there's anybody here that mind that, or do you mind if I go there? You see, because I believe that my disease is not only about addiction, it's not only about using, it's not about eating, it's about what it is that we're trying to medicate under that. And the impact that we've been having in my workshop, in my homework group, has been amazing. There's been tears. There's been a lot of healing. I think I received wonderful messages. So I wanted to bring it up here in the main group to see if you guys mind, right? Because many times I change drinking for thinking. Sometimes, like today, it's we have lost control, but not only control over our alcohol or our drug addiction or our food, but of our lives. Does anybody have an objection to that? If you do, please raise your hand. If not, I'm just going to do my thing. Is that good? Okay, that's good. Okay, so let's start reading. We're going to be reading, or let me do the set aside prayer before, like I do every week. And it says, God, please help me set aside everything I think I know for an open mind and a new experience. Help us all see the truth about this chapter, There's a Solution, and the danger and unmanageability of our lives due to our powerlessness with our mental obsession. Amen. So we have gone through this far, through what happens to our body once we take that first drink. I hope that by now we can understand that our allergy or body is different than the body of regular people. That once we take a drug, once we take a drink, once we take sugar, whatever your addiction may be, or when we control or chaos create, the body takes over the mind and there's no defense against that. Hence, we are powerless over the reaction that our body has to the substance. I hope that's perfectly clear by now. That has absolutely nothing to do with what you were thinking before you drank or while you were drinking. The previous weeks, we talked a lot about our physical problem, the allergy that Dr. Silkworth explained so eloquently in a letter. I also asked you and made this reference about shame. The doctor's opinion for me was liberating as far as me feeling shame for everything that I did while in the influence. Because today I understand that once my body takes over my mind because of my disease, there's very little control that I have of whatever I do with my life or with the life that people that surrounds me. So that took away a lot of shame. So I truly hope that did it for you as well. Because as we spoke before, a lot of us carry a lot of shame. We're shameful for what we did when we were truly blind and we didn't know where we were going. And we have touched last week on the mental obsession. The mental obsession is something that we all want to manage, we all want to fix. That's what we come to meetings and we come to these workshops to alleviate. What we are all looking for is relief. Relief of what? Of our existence. Because in a way it has been really difficult to live within our skin, with ourselves. Isn't that why we drink or use drugs? So today we're going to move forward with that obsession, with that mental obsession. This mental obsession is as powerful as your physical allergy. Once the obsession takes over your mind, your body, there's nothing you can do to get out of it. And I'm going to say that again. Once you are obsessed about something, what's the definition of an obsession? We'll see that more next week. An obsession is a thought that it's over any other thought. So when you allow your mind to go thinking, either in self-pity or in doubt or in worry or in whatever it is that you do that makes you feel horrible, once you allow yourself to go there, your mental obsession is so strong that you are powerless to stop that. Can you relate? Can you get out of an argument at half of it? Can you get out of your self-pity when you have allowed yourself to feel it that day? Can you get out of fear? I do another workshop in Spanish yesterday, and we were talking about with a lady that suffers panic attacks. She describes herself as neurotic, not alcoholic, no nothing. She's a neurotic, and she goes to Neurotics Anonymous. And for her, it's really easy to see once that panic attack takes a hold of your body, of your soul. There's very little control that you will have to stop that. So I want to invite you that throughout this reading, really question how powerful you are when it comes to your thinking, when it comes to your reaction to life, to your perception, to the way that you translate those thoughts into feelings, and how miserable your life can be when you allow that to happen. The biggest mistakes that we as alcoholics and addicts and codependents make is that we think that willpower can solve that we have the power to get rid of our obsession, that we can go in and out of depression on our own, in and out of anxiety on our own, in and out of fear on our own, when in reality it's really difficult. So I want you to see how powerless you are over that. And there's a reason for it. This first chapter is, please bear with me, a lot of what we do in this workshop at the beginning is to destroy the ego. So there's a lot of self-defeating statements in what I'm telling you, but if we don't see our reality, if we don't see the urgency in our lives of believing that there's a power greater than yourself that can restore that which you haven't been able to all your life, it's going to be very difficult for you to get the spiritual side of this program. And this program is it's mostly a spiritual program. So let's start the reading, and I'm going to go back and forth between booze and between drugs, alcohol, food, and our thinking. Right, and I want you to try to bring this workshop, at least this one. If you have taken many workshops and you have worked your past, I want you to start working your present, your current agnosticism, your current unmanageability, your current craziness, your current issues. So try to stay here and now and try to relate whatever we're going to be reading about today or what's happening in your life today in current events. Okay, so let's open our books on page 23. And this is the second part of their solution. This has to do with what was I thinking before I took that first drink. Okay, this is the transcription that we did in the top margin. It says, step 1, mental obsession of the mind before the first drink. Here we use this section as a tool to look at why is it, if one reason or another. Oh my God, I can't read my writing, man. Why we drink, man. It doesn't matter. We cannot bring to our mind with sufficient force the consequences of our last debauch. So let's start reading. It says, these observations would be academic and pointless if our friend never took that first drink, thereby setting the terrible cycle in motion. Therefore, the main problem of the alcoholic center in its mind rather than in his body. If you ask him why he started on the last bender, the chances are he will offer you any one of 100 alibis. Sometimes these excuses have a certain plausibility, but none of them really make sense in the light of the havoc an alcoholic drinking bout creates. They sound like the philosophy of the man who, having a headache, beats himself on the head with a hammer so that he can feel the ache. If you draw this fallacious reasoning to the attention of an alcoholic, he will laugh it off, become irritated, and refuse to talk. So I'm going to go back in this paragraph, and it says that we believe that the alcoholic centers in its mind rather than in his body. We know what happens to our bodies when we drink. But let me bring this to current events. You haven't drank in a long time, maybe. Maybe you've been sober for a long time. That's what I'm assuming. How you doing with your thinking? How much control those thoughts have over your life? How much do you still think that by worrying about what's going to happen in the future, you're going to be able to solve it? How much do you want to understand your disease and find a solution rationally? What has changed? What has changed since you stopped drinking? If you keep on doing what you were doing before, sober, your life is going to be as miserable as before. And it's going to be as miserable as before or more, because today we don't have the medicine, we don't have the anesthetic to quiet our minds. But isn't your mind the one that you've been fighting with all your life? Sober or drunk? Isn't that where your real problem lies? In your perception, in your interpretation of life, in your constant thinking about the future, in your constant thinking about what it is that you could have done different in the past, so you could maybe have more today or be with the same man that you were before, or woman, or whatever it may be. Can you see that today? Can you see how you're going to be dealing with your mental obsession always? And when you say that you're powerless over that, that power will never come from you. At least that's what AA says. There's a wonderful man that a lot of people in BBA love to listen. His name is Mark Houston. He's a wonderful speaker. He came to actually, he was one of the ones that brought BBA to San Diego with Tyler. Dan Sherman and Houston worked in a group, and that's how BBA came about. And what Mark Houston says is that he's a hollow bone. What does that mean? What does that mean to be a hollow bone? That means that he's the conduit to whom, to what? To that spirit, to that higher power, to that God. So there's very little thinking in a hollow bone, ain't it? Now, there's a lot of practices that we need to do every day that I am sure you're doing it. Every day you're reading pages 84 to 88, of course you are. And every day you're meditating, and every day you are praying, and every day you are pausing, and every day you are reminding yourself that it's not all about you, that now you need a power greater than yourself to be able to live your life. I'm pretty sure that you're doing that every day on a daily basis. Because those are the disciplines that we have to do every day in order to remain a hollow bone. Because this mind of ours is very powerful. You see, we're incredibly intelligent human beings, but we have used that intellect to destroy ourselves, to commiserate, to self-talk, to obsess, to want to control, to manipulate, to try to figure out life rather than living it. So I believe that my disease, your disease, lies in the way of my thoughts, my way of thinking. But that way of thinking is not something that I have power over to change. You see, there's wonderful psychologists out there, and they do cognitive psychology, thanatology, all kinds of therapies. And every time they come across an alcoholic, man, they want to break their head in two. Because no matter what they do with us, man, we just don't seem to get it. And if you go back to what we have spoken in the past about Dr. Jung and Dr. Silkworth, and many other doctors around the world that have big names, nothing as big as Jung, maybe Freud. But Jung said that the only way that you can recover, the only way that you can overcome that mental obsession is through a spiritual experience. Same thing with Silkworth. Right? So this is the part that I need you to understand. We're dealing with how powerless you are over your thoughts. We dealt with how powerless you were with your body the previous weeks, but today I'm asking you to think, to realize that same powerlessness you have with that, it's with your thoughts as well. You can't do it on your own. We all need help. And we get that help in the circle and the triangle. You see, I'm bringing everything back that we have gone through until today. Circle and triangle, service, recovery, and unity. Service, recovery, and unity. When? Every day. You have the recovery part right now down, 84 to 88 every day, and you do your homework, you come to workshops. I hope you're going to enough meetings, and I hope you're taking people through the steps. If you're not, you're robbing yourself of a great time. Right? But those are all the disciplines that we need to do every day in order to be able to live with that mental obsession. Isn't your thoughts that drive you crazy? Isn't that voice that have told you all your life that you're not good enough the one that made you drink? Or think about committing the ultimate sacrifice? Or drug? Or think that a man could save your life? Or that people should be a certain way in order for you to be happy? Isn't all that as a consequence of your thinking? And the way that we obsess about getting that in order for us to be okay. Okay, so let's continue to read. So that's my interpretation of the mental obsession. It's not only that I think all day long about eating, or that I think all day long about drinking, or that I think all day long about drugging or controlling. That's very important. That's amazingly important. I cannot quit drinking or drugging or acting out on my own. But there's much more than that. You see, all the other thoughts is what drives you to the obsession that a drink will fix all those thoughts. Do I make sense? Okay. Okay, let's go. Okay, perfect. Once in a while, he may tell the truth. And the truth is strange to say, is usually that he has no more idea why he took that first drink than you. Some drinkers have excuses with which they are satisfied part of the time. But in their hearts, they really do not know why they do it. Once this malady has a real hold, they're a baffled lot. There's the obsession that somehow, someday, they will beat the game. But they often suspect they are down for the count. And I'm going to bring it back to your thinking. I'm going to bring it back to your perception. I want to bring it back to your current status, to your current life. If you haven't craved alcohol and drugs for a long, long time. When this malady gets a grip on you, when you're in the depth of a crisis, whatever crisis it may be, it can be anxiety, depression, anger, resentment, whatever it is. Can you get out of it on your own? Can you stop your mind like that on a dime and say, stop, Oliver, stop thinking stupid stuff. Let's concentrate on work. Let's be grateful. Let's be positive. Or you give in to that temptation of thinking, of worrying, of manipulating, of trying to control the will of God. Life. Living in the present, screw the present, man. I'm too worried about the future. Why don't you let yourself be there? How easy it is for you to get out of it. Does it take hold of you? All of you. All those deep ideas that you believe that on your own you're nothing, that you are worthless, that nobody's going to be able to love you, that you're not good enough, that you need somebody in order for you to be okay, that you need a certain amount of money to live comfortably, that you need blah, 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 blah. When that stuff hits your brain, have you been able to control that? That's part of this malady. That's part of this obsession. It's not only a obsession to drink. We're going to learn as the weeks go by, and I know that a lot of you have done this workshop before. We're going to learn that as the weeks go by, that this is not about understanding. This is about surrendering, about walking in faith, about becoming a hollow bone. What's important for you to understand in this paragraph is this. Can you see that on your own, your human power, you, or anybody else in your life, won't be able to take you away from this, we're talking about. I don't care how much your boyfriend or girlfriend loves you. He will mess up. He's a human being. And when he does, you're going to feel like shit. You're going to feel not good enough. You're going to feel abandoned. You're going to feel rejected. And then what you're going to do? Can you see that? And if you're in the middle of something right now, I'm so happy, because then you will truly understand it. If you've been stuck for a while, why haven't you been able to get yourself out of it? Because you're stupid? Is that what you tell yourself? Can't believe I think like that. I'm so stupid. I should be out of this way of thinking. I'm dumb. I'm not good enough. I'm insufficient. Isn't that what we tell ourselves? Just be honest for a little bit and see it. Isn't that what we have tried to control all of our lives? When we drank, when we used, didn't we quiet that monster down? The monster became from a nasty one telling you how bad and how stupid and how useless you were, to you're a hero, you're beautiful, you can conquer the world. Isn't that what booze did to us, or drugs? Right? So how powerful were they, man? The power of alcohol and drugs is enormous, man. It's huge. It does work. Man, it's a great solution. It worked for me for many years. Many, many years. Actually, today I had a problem this week with my work. I've been sober for 10 years. And the first thing that came to my mind, man, a Valium will fix all this anxiety right away. Did I act out on my thoughts? No. But that's what I'm trying to quiet. That's what I'm trying to massage, to control. And the more I realize that on my own I can't do much about that, the sooner this solution is going to enter into your heart and into your mind. Okay. How true this is, few realize. In a vague way, their families and friends sense that this drink is abnormal. But everybody hopefully awaits the day when the sufferer will rouse himself from the lethargy and assert his power of will to stay stopped forever. How's your power of will doing? And again, bring it back to today. Has your power of will give you a higher self-esteem? Peace, quiet, gratefulness, love. A sense of purpose, intention. Does that come from your brain? Are your ideas the ones that keep you sober? Happy, centered, free. Okay. The tragic truth is that the man be a real alcoholic, the happy day may not arrive. He has lost control. At a certain point in his drinking, in the drinking of every alcoholic, he passes into the state where the most powerful desire to stop drinking is of absolute no avail. The tragic situation has already arrived in practically every case long before it is suspected. Did you have a full desire to stop and you couldn't stop? How many times did you try to stop? And here, the overeaters, man, this is amazing for the overeaters. Overeaters suffer from a really, 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 really hard addiction. Because they need to eat to survive, man. We don't need to drink to survive. It's a really hard one. How true is that? You can apply all your thinking, all your willing, all your resolution to stop doing whatever you're doing. Were you able to stop? Stay stopped for good. Next week, we're going to read a story about a fellow that stayed sober for 25 years without AA. And he was a real alcoholic, so there's people that can do that. It would be interesting to ask his wife how her life was for those 25 years, but he didn't drink, right? Or his employees or whatever it may be. But I mean, the only thing that the story tells us is that he was able by self-will stop drinking for 25 years. Then he drank again, he died. But with us, with you today? Have you lost control of the most powerful desire that you will have today to feel whole, to accept that you cannot make that happen for yourself? Can you see that? For me, it's very important for you guys to see this, man, because I have a lot of old timers here. It's not about alcohol anymore. It's about living. It's about accepting defeat, that our own power, it's not enough to live our lives. That our thinking is always going to kick our ass. The way that it's kicking every day. Even though you tell yourself that you're doing fine, but you're anxious. And if you're not, I congratulate you. But I'm pretty sure that if you talk to most alcoholics that have a wonderful recovered life, they will talk to you about God and God and God and God and God and God. They don't tell you, oh my God, these great ideas came over and this is what I do every day by myself. And let me write a book on how it is we need to do it in order for you to control your thinking. Because there's not such a thing, not in AA. If you go to therapy, that's what they're going to teach you, how to think better. That's what they do, man. Poor souls. They spend hours with us, man, and they have very little power on what it is they can do for us in reality. I mean, they can help us, they can steer us in the right direction, but in reality, the healing does not come from the mind, because you're powerless over that mind. Is that a hard proposition to accept or to believe? Here, the successful people, the type A personality people, have a bitch of a time. Because they have proved to themselves that they're successful and that by trying, working, and applying themselves, they have accumulated. They have reached a certain type of success. But can they enjoy what they made? Can they stop that overthinking about them? Why do they have to have more millions of dollars or more work, more to prove to whom that it's enough? If he's an alcoholic like you and I, there's many, I don't know how other people live. But it's very important for me that you see this, because this is what actually gave me freedom in this program. This is what actually BBA did for me. I switched all the drinking and all the using with time to my thinking, to my perception, to the way that I live, to see how hopeless I am with my own thinking. If I let myself think on my own and take decisions alone, I'm going to do what I did with my life once and twice and 3 times, burn it to the ground. And while I was doing it, I thought it was a good idea because I could start over again and do it all over again because it was easy the first time. Guess what? I've been trying my ass off and I haven't been able to accumulate 10% of what I had. And today I'm scared shitless. Why? Because I'm not in the obsession that I had before. Well, I'm older. I don't have the energy that I had before. But then again, it has nothing to do with my mind. But can you see it in your life? Please, man, I hope you can see it in your life, man. Because if you apply this to your current situation, the gift, the miracle of AA is going to be present in your life. It's going to flourish. You're going to walk hand in hand with the spirit. You're going to know that 4th dimension of existence. You're going to develop this 6th sense. But you can't get any of that if you still think you have power. The requisite to gaining all the power that you have never dreamed of is to give it up. Is to surrender it. To stop fighting, to stop manipulating, to stop trying. And all of a sudden it happens. Isn't that weird, man? Okay. The fact is that most alcoholics, for reasons yet obscured, have lost the power of choice in drinking. Our so-called willpower becomes practically non-existent. We are unable at certain times to bring into our consciousness with sufficient force the memory of the suffering and humiliation of even a week or month ago. We are without defense against the first drink or thought. Here we go. I'm going to take you to where I want to take you with this one. The fact is that most alcoholics, for reasons yet obscure, have lost the power of choice to think on their own. Have you been lost in your thoughts for a while? If you have taken this workshop more than once, are you still trying to fix the same stuff that you tried to fix back way when? Because you think that if you apply yourself harder, you're going to be able to fix it this time. or truly understand it, or finding the Holy Grail with my understanding, with my rationale. Can you bring with sufficient force to your memory the suffering and humiliation when you try to live your life under your own terms? Why do you keep allowing yourself to doubt? Why do you keep allowing yourself to go into self-pity? Why do you keep allowing yourself to let other people do with your life whatever they want with your life? And it's not them that are doing it. You're giving your heart to them. You walk with your heart in your hand. Here you go. Here's my happiness. Make me whole. You have done this, if you're of my age, many times during your lifetime. Why do you keep on doing it? If you know you can't stop eating, no amount of scheduling and self-sacrifice and self-will is going to make you stop. If you know you can't stop, why do you keep on trying to do it on your own? Currently, bring it to the current, bring it to the present. Forget about drinking. What it is that you have lost power to today. I'm scared shitless. I haven't had a relationship in 10 years because I'm so afraid that somebody's going to hurt me. Well, shit, isn't that? Haven't you lost all your power to that wrong belief? I can't work because I'm so afraid I'm going to fail. And you believe that your failure is the reality. So then you can't go out and you can't work. And you don't allow the pleasure of creation. God cannot heal me. God is going to punish me. I mean, whatever it is that you have in your mind, can you see it currently, how you have lost control of that part of your life? If you're like me, the answer is yes. If you're like me, that's why you're in this workshop. Because there's something in your life that is driving you absolutely crazy. And you're willing to do whatever it takes to get rid of that. Because what you have is lost control. That's what you have lost control. Because you still believe that you have mental power, that one day somehow you're going to be like other people that can solve their problems on their own, that they don't need meetings, sponsors, psychologists, meditation, prayer, all this shit that we have to do every day. I mean, there's a lot of shit we have to do every day. 84 to 88 is full of instructions, man. You have to do that every day in order to be okay. There's people that don't have to do that. They don't have to meditate or pray, go to meetings or talk to sponsors. They're fine, but they're not alcoholics like you. Does that make sense to you? I hope this lights something in your brain, in your heart that you haven't been able to light before. Because this is not just about drinking, eating, controlling, manipulating, or case creating. It has nothing to do. It has to do with the way that you think. And the way that you think, you have power over that thinking. Picture this, man. Picture this, a guy in the loony bin trying to give therapy to somebody in the same loony bin. That's you. Your sick mind thinks that can cure a sick mind because you're sober. You have to drop that. So the transformation, the psychic change that Silk Work talk about can't come to pass. It's not a figure of speech. When he says we need to have an entire psychic change, he meant it. Dr. Jung said the same thing. All these things have to be displaced. All these values and all these beliefs have to be removed. We as doctors have tried to do that with you, but we can't. In time past, the only way that this happened was with a spiritual experience. But how are you going to allow God to fix something that you still think it's not broken? Can you see that? Okay. And with this, I'll move on. If you're falling into the same behavior, into the same anxiety, into the same depression, for the same thing month over month over month over month, how many months do you need in order to see that you can't fix that? If the story's been the same for years, Why can't you bring with enough force the thought of all that suffering of the years that your thinking has created in your life? Isn't that the same thing as drinking? Okay, here we go. The almost certain consequences that follow taking even a glass of beer do not crowd into the mind to deter us. If these thoughts occur, they are hazy and readily supplanted with the old threadbare idea that this time we shall handle ourselves like other people. There is a complete failure of the kind of defense that keeps one from putting his hand on the hot stove. I'm going to read this again. And this about your thinking, about the way that you behave, the almost certain consequences that follow taking even a glass of beer do not crowd into the mind to deter us. If these thoughts occur, they are hazy and readily supplanted by the old threadbare idea that this time we shall handle ourselves. If you allow yourself to go into self-pity, if you allow yourself to go into doubt, if you allow yourself to go into shame, if you allow yourself to go into the fake belief that this time you're going to be able to manage your life on your own, that you don't need AA, that you don't need your sponsor, that you don't need to live in the circle and the triangle. You see, it's not just the booze. It's not just the drugs. It's what it is that you do currently with that. How many passes do you give yourself to be like that, thinking that this time is going to be different? If you're addicted to pornography, I'm just going to watch a little porn. If you're addicted to sugars, I'm going to have just a little brownie. If you're addicted to codependency and like to fix people's lives, I'm just going to fix this life a little bit. This time I'm not going to get connected or hooked. Whatever it is that you do, don't you give yourself permissions once in a while? Thinking, this is the insane part. You know what that's going to do to you. You know that you're going to suffer. You know that you're going to be miserable. But you allow yourself to do it because you think that this time is going to be different. I hope this thing sinks in. If not, maybe next year workshop will. But you see, it's not about workshops. It's about you thinking that you can manage your own life. That this time is going to be different. The booze is the same thing as the thinking. The manipulating, the lying, everything is the same. And this is very important for you to see, because when you turn your will and your life over to the God, what it is that you're going to be turning? You're drinking? Is that all you're going to be giving God to manage for you? Meaning she's full of people like that, man, try drunks. Full of it. They believe that they have all this knowledge, they know all these things, their humility, it's non-existent, they have big egos. Just because they've been sober for 25 years, man. But you go to their homes, their wives can't stand them. Because the only thing that they gave to God was that, the substance. But how about your life? Your heart, your intentions, your perception, everything. Has anybody read Course in Miracles here? Good. The Course in Miracles says that changing your perception, that's a miracle. That's all there is. There's nothing else. That's what it talks about. Perceiving differently, isn't that a miracle in itself? Well, that's a miracle because once your perception changes, everything changes. Your husband, your wife can be assholes, but you will see them differently. It doesn't matter what they do or who they are. It's how you perceive them. Okay. Okay, so the alcoholic may say to himself in the most casual way, it won't burn me this time. So here's how. Or perhaps he doesn't think at all. How often have some of us began to drink in this nonchalant way, and after the third or fourth, pounding on the bar and said to ourselves, for God's sakes, how did I even get started again? Only to have the thought supplanted by, well, I'll stop with the sixth drink, or what's the use now? When this sort of thinking is fully established in an individual with alcoholic tendencies, he has probably placed himself beyond human aid, and unless locked up, may die or go permanently insane. This stark and ugly facts have been confirmed by legions of alcoholics throughout history. But for the grace of God, there would have been thousands more convincing demonstrations. So many want to stop, but cannot. Again, when this sort of thinking is fully established in an individual with alcoholic tendencies, he has probably placed himself beyond human aid. Do you believe you're there? It's very important. Do you believe that you are beyond human aid? Do you think that there's a psychologist out there that can fix you? A boyfriend, a Prince Charming, a girlfriend, the girl of my dreams, the man that finally is gonna value me for who I am and make me whole. The sponsor that is gonna be so good that he's gonna take me by the hand to God. I mean, you truly think that there's any human being out there that can make you whole? That's being beyond human aid. And obviously, if I talk about your will and your way of thinking, do you believe that you have exhausted that opportunity? Have you realized that you can't do it on your own? Good. Okay, there is a solution. Here we go. Finally, we get to the point. There is a solution. Almost none of us like the self-searching, the leveling of our pride, the confession of shortcomings which the process requires for a successful consummation. But we saw that it really worked in others. We had come to believe in the hopelessness and futility of life as we had been living it. Have you seen your hopelessness and your futility of your life, the way that you're living it today? Not 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I don't know when it was the last time you drank. Today. Is your situation hopeless in a way? Are you tired of it? Do you see the futility of trying to do your own will without God, without the meetings, without the program? Are you done suffering? Are you willing to accept for the first time, maybe in a long time or in your life, that on your own you can't? Because you feel hopeless. Because you believe that your life is futile. Your condition is so bad that you're not willing to keep on doing it anymore. Or you still want more. There's always more. You see, the good thing about misery is that it has a never-ending supply. You can die miserable, man. The pull of misery is huge. We create that very easy, man. It's cheap, it's free. Just get to think about yourself tomorrow and you'll see how miserable you become. Everything you lost, all the mistakes you have made, everything you don't have. But are you done with that? When therefore we were approached by those in whom the problem has been solved, there was nothing left for us but to pick up the simple kit of spiritual tools laid at our feet. We have found much of heaven, and we have been rocketed into a fourth dimension of existence, of which we had not even dreamed. What's the simple kit of tools or tools? What are they? What is it in your life today? It's only 5 pages. If you're having issue reading 5 pages every day, man, your chances are very slim that you're going to get anything out of this. It's 5 pages. That's all there is. It's going to take you 7 minutes at most to read them, and your whole life to live in them. That's where the solution is. Are you willing to put in the effort, or you're not putting it today? I mean, this is for you to confront yourself right now, right here. Pick up the simple kit of spiritual tools laid at your feet. Those are tools. We have found much of heaven here, not when we die, here in this world. And we have been rocked into a fourth dimension of existence that we have never thought it existed. What's the fourth dimension? In simple terms, something you can't see, touch, or see. Can't see it. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. The fourth dimension is the spiritual realm. And you are part of that dimension. You are part of that realm. You're part spirit. But you've been disconnected for so long that you no longer recognize it. You doubt that you're even made of a spirit. We're all flesh and bones. That's all there is. I live, I reproduce, and I die. There's no purpose, no divinity in my existence, so I better hurry up and accumulate. If not, I'm going to be left alone. I need to take advantage of this world while I can. I mean, the fourth dimension is that which we can't touch, we can't see, we can't feel. But it's as real as these three dimensions, the ones that you and I live on every day, the ones that we can perceive. The fourth dimension is realizing that God is doing for you, for me, what I cannot do for myself because I tried to do it for many, 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 many years. I went to the gym today after a few weeks of not going. You know, when you do exercise after 35 minutes, 40 minutes, you get this high, this natural high. Well, I was getting in that natural high, man. I'm an addict, man. I love myself, but I'm an addict. I put myself, this song started playing, and I got so sensitive. I started crying in the gym. And I told my son, and he says, "Man, Dad, you don't do that in the gym." And I said, "No, I do that." I was crying of happiness. I was crying of joy. I was crying of wholeness. I was crying of feeling that power, that flow, that fourth dimension into my life today. Even though I am very scared because I'm probably losing half of my income next week, and I have to replace it. But the feeling that I experienced today, knowing that I'm taken care of, knowing that my future is going to be certain, even though I don't know what that certainty is, that today I can let go of all that and feel loved, understood, held, and that I can cry of joy. That's my experience of the fourth dimension. My daughter is pregnant. She sent me the picture of the little baby and the heartbeat today. I saw it and started crying again, man. A 56-year-old man, Mexican, macho. I don't cry, man. Fuck, I cry like a little baby every day. I'm not afraid of showing my emotions. I'm not afraid to telling the world. I have a social media channel, man. I tell the world my problems. I'm not afraid. I'm not ashamed to tell you and the world who I am. I was never able to do that. I created all these personalities in order for you to love me. I don't need to do that anymore. But I didn't do that. The only thing I did is surrender. I have 25 souls looking at me right now, listening to what I'm saying because you think it has some value. That's the fourth dimension. If I can touch your heart with whatever I say, it comes from that dimension. But you see, the doubt that I have of that dimension today is way smaller than what I had before, because I do doubt. I don't live in complete faith all the time. I'll be lying to you to tell you that I'm with God all the time. And God and I are pals, and I talk to him and he talks to me. That's not true, not for me. Sometimes I hear him, sometimes I'm certain about his will, but sometimes I'm lost. Sometimes I'm scared, sometimes I'm anxious, sometimes I doubt. But guess what? I still know that fourth dimension exists. And it's up to me to get connected to that which I'm a part of. You're part spirit. There's this saying going around all over the world saying you are a spirit having a human experience. Isn't that what people say? Sounds nice. Sounds new agey. Isn't that the truth? That's the fourth dimension. You know, when I was really weak in my faith, I used to listen and watch a bunch of videos on YouTube of NDEs, near-death experiences. Because I needed the experiences of these people that went to the other side and came back and tell their story, man. I had probably watched 100. And there's one book that changed my life, my faith. 7 Lessons from Heaven. An amazing book. It's about a doctor that dies and then comes back and tells her story. She was lucky enough to see it, to experience it, to touch it, to smell it, that fourth dimension. Today I just have a little grasp of its existence. And I invite all you guys to walk with me in that direction. And eventually that fourth dimension is going to be real for you. It's going to be as real as the ones that you see every day. That's where I've been rocketed. Listen to Tyler, listen to Pat, listen to the giants of BBA. What do they talk about every meeting? Do they talk about their experience, or do they talk about God? What do they talk about? Patty, what does he say? Every morning when I wake up, God is waiting for me. He loves to be with me. He loves me. The good news is that I don't have to find God. God is going to find me because he loves to be with me. That's one of the biggest guys at BBA here. He has given more workshops, I guess, it's Thailand than Pat. Vinny. All the greats were the guys that have been here in BBA for a long time. What do they talk about? Don't they talk about the fourth dimension? All the time. Not just some of the time. All the time. If you haven't experienced it, I hope, I pray, I wish that you stay here for the remainder of the workshop, because you will get there as a result of working these steps. Okay. Here we go. The great fact is just this and nothing else: that we have had deep and effective spiritual experiences which have revolutionized our whole attitude toward lives, toward our fellows, and toward God's universe. The central fact of our lives today is the absolute certainty that our Creator has entered into our hearts and lives in which is indeed miraculous. He has commenced to accomplish those things for us which we could never do for ourselves. Is that a fact for you yet? And if it's not, be honest with yourself. Don't fake it. Because if it's not, it will come.
Charts of the most successful dynasties in history.
Have you experienced that? Do you live that? Do you understand what the book is talking about? Is the central fact is the certainty that God exists, that God can take care of all of your problems. And again, if you're not there yet, it doesn't matter, but tell yourself the truth. Don't lie, don't fake it. Don't talk in meetings as if you know God and you walk hand in hand with him, because you're lying to yourself. Forget about what you tell me. I don't care what you tell me, but you're lying to yourself every time you tell him that. You tell people and yourself that you know that place. You don't even know how it looks like. And if that's your case, that's good, because that means that you're here because you want to know it. But if you understand what the book says, if you have experienced that, if that's a central fact of your life, then go out there and serve, give it away, because that's what saved my life. It wasn't Tyler, it wasn't Pat, it wasn't Vinny, it wasn't Dan Sherman, Maher Houston. It was that power. If you are a serious alcoholic, as we were, we believe there's no middle of the road solution. We were in a position that life were becoming impossible, and if we had passed into the region from which there is no return from human aid, we had but two alternatives. One was to go on to the bitter end, blotting out the consciousness of our intolerable situation as best we could, and the other to accept the spiritual help. We're getting into the meat of it. This is the meat of this chapter. This is where the solution is. You see how the solution, it started with saying there is a solution. Do you see everything that we have read so far? It's just asking you to realize that on your own, you're nothing. That on your own, you can't do anything about your situation. But that there is one that has solved the problems of people like me and people that have been recovered from this disease and can save you. It's promising you a fourth dimension. It's promising you faith. It's promising you love. It's promising you, there's a lot of promise there. But they never said here the solution is for you to understand yourself better, your triggers. Go to the psychologist, apply your self-will harder. Become more stubborn, become more intelligent. Apply everything that you have learned throughout your life so you can finally get out of your wrong thinking. But isn't that what we've been doing all our lives? The only thing that their solution is talking about is a fourth dimension that most of us don't know it exists. And of a power that is doing for some of us what it has never been done in our lives by ourselves or any other human being. Do you realize that? Can you see that? If you believe there's a middle of the road solution, that's cool. It's really hard to think black and white. I used to be a black and white person all my life, and I suffered as a consequence tremendously because of it. And this is pretty much black and white, right? It's kind of extreme. The reality of things is that we do this very hard every day, all of us. And we try to live in the right side of the program most of the time. But it's impossible to be perfect. It's impossible some days not to relax your spiritual practices, or to allow yourself to do a little bad thing, or to have a bad thought, or to have, well, you can't drink. If you drink, you're screwed. But to allow yourself different luxuries that you know are bad for you, but you still do them. I mean, we're all human beings. We're never going to be perfect. Trying to achieve that perfection, that's a perfect recipe for being unhappy, for being frustrated endlessly. But what it means about middle of the road solution is this. This is where the solution lies. This solution is not you and then God. This solution is God and then you, or you and God together. You cannot take just principles, some principles of AA, and then pick your own. You see, there's a lot of people in meetings that say, I'm working my own program. Well, that's a problem. That's why you're all angry, man. That's why you're empty. That's why you're still trying to fix something that you don't have any power fixing, because there's only one program. There's 12 steps. And the directions are in this book, and that's what you're doing here. You're learning how to work it. Wow. Where life was becoming impossible. Are you there yet? I hope you are, man. I really do. In any part of your life. It doesn't have to be everything impossible. It's not like you're on the verge of suicide or you're on the verge of a relapse, but impossible that you think that you can change people. Impossible that you think that you can still control the future. Impossible that you need to hide who you are behind a mask all your life because you're too afraid to be authentic. I mean, are you tired of that? Are you tired of expecting people to do for you what you can't do for yourself? Are you tired of the opinion of everybody else? If everybody else thinks I'm wonderful. If they think I'm stupid, I'm stupid. I mean, aren't you tired of that in your life becoming impossible because of it? You see, that's where we take the steps in all of our affairs, in all our lives, in everything that happens in our lives. An alcoholic, it's everything. It's not only our drinking. It's our drinking, our thinking, our perceiving, and spirit, everything. Okay. This we did because we honestly wanted to, and we were willing to make the effort to accept the spiritual help. If you're tired of living under your own will, under your own rules, and you find your life impossible, the book's inviting you to come to this fourth dimension. To open your mind and believe that there's spiritual experience out there that can heal that, which you believe is impossible to fix on your own, today in your life currently. A certain American businessman had ability, good sense, and high character. For years, he had floundered from one sanitarium to another. He had consulted the best-known American psychiatrists. Then he had gone to Europe, placing himself in care of a celebrated physician, the psychiatrist Dr. Jung. If you needed a big name, here's a big name. It doesn't get any bigger than this in psychology, guys. Who prescribed for him. Though experience had made him skeptical, he finished his treatment with unusual confidence. His physical and mental condition were unusually good. Above all, he believed he had acquired such a profound knowledge of the inner working of his mind and its hidden springs that relapse was unthinkable. Is that what you're here for? Is that what you want to achieve? To know yourself better? To try to finally control that thinking, finally control that reaction, finally be Superman or Superwoman on your own. To have so much knowledge about yourself that there's no possible way of unhappiness and relapse and using and none of that. Do you have the means that this man had? Have you gone to the best psychologist money can buy, like this guy did? Rowland Hazard is this guy. Wishing that this man would fix you. Remember that I told you a little bit ago, do you believe you're above human aid? A psychologist is as human as you are. Nevertheless, he was drunk in a short time. More baffling still, he could give himself no satisfactory explanation for this fall. So he turned to this doctor whom he admired and asked him point blank why he could not recover. He wished above all things to regain self-control, underlying self-control. He seemed quite rational, well balanced with respect to other problems, yet he had no control whatever over alcohol. Why was this? He begged the doctor to tell him the whole truth, and he got it. In the doctor's judgment, he was utterly hopeless. He could never regain his position in society, and he would have to place himself under lock and key or hire a bodyguard if he expected to live long. That was a great physician's opinion. That's Dr. Jung. If your ego is this big, I hope it's not bigger than Dr. Jung, because he's the father of psychology with Freud and others. This guy's big. Do you need more proof? But this man still lives and is a free man. He does not need a bodyguard, nor he is confined. He can go anywhere in this earth where other free men may go. Without disaster, provided he remains willing to maintain certain simple attitude. We'll look at that attitude, and the attitude is look at that certain simple attitude in step 2, page 52. If I can lay aside prejudice, if I can think honestly, if I can, being encouraged to search diligently within myself, I can find God. So in other words, open your mind. Okay, simple attitude, just selfishness, and that attitude is that there's a God and you're not it. Some of our alcoholic readers may think they can do without a spiritual help. Let us tell you the rest of the conversation our friends had with this doctor. The doctor said, "You have the mind of a chronic alcoholic. I have never seen one single case recover where that state of mind existed to the extent that it does in you." Our friend felt as though the gates of hell had closed on him with a clang. He said to the doctor, "Is there no exception?" The doctor said, "Yes, there is. Exceptions to this case such as yours have been occurring since early times. Here and there, once in a while, alcoholics have had what are called vital spiritual experiences." This is Jung's opinion. For an alcoholic like you. To me, these occurrences are phenomena. What does that mean? He doesn't understand them. They appear to be in the nature of huge emotional displacements and rearrangements. Ideas, emotions, and attitudes which were once the guiding forces of the lives of this man are suddenly cast to one side, and a complete new set of conceptions and motives begin to dominate them. They're set aside for him. They were not set aside by him. The spiritual experience is to set aside that for you, because you can't do it. Do you understand that? If you work really hard to set aside all those things, a cast on one side and completely new set of conceptions and motives to dominate your life, you have been trying to do that all your life. All your life. You have worked really hard to be happy, to feel useful, purposeful, wonderful, and you have failed. So this will be replaced for you, but not by you. That's a spiritual experience. That's a spiritual life. That's a fourth dimension of existence. That's a power of God. That's a grace of God. Do you believe on that bullshit that I just said? Because it sounds like bullshit, right? A ghost is going to fix me? Come on, man. I've been taught otherwise all my life. I mean, I go to church and everything, but in reality, I know Christ walked on water, but I don't know if I can. This is very important. The doctor is telling him that something out there outside of himself that he cannot understand because it's phenomenon replaced the way that he perceived, thought, act, believed. And let's see what he says after that. In fact, I have been trying to produce some such emotional rearrangements with you, with many individuals which are not alcoholics. The message which I employ are successful, but I have never been successful with an alcoholic of your description. Do you see how you're different? Do you see how your solution is not the same of your brothers, of your sisters, of your relatives, or your loved ones, or your friends? If you are an alcoholic, that change, that physical, emotional, mental change won't be done by you. It's going to be granted to you. That's the grace of God. And do you know what it is you need to do to deserve that? Absolutely nothing. Let him do it. That's it. That's the grace of God. That's the definition of grace. Grace is not earned, it's given. You cannot earn heaven. Grace is given. Even though we've been taught that we need to do certain things to go to heaven, and that if we sin, we're bad Christians, or whatever religion you're in. The only thing you need to do is to give your full life to God, and He will do the trick for you. That's grace. That's it. Upon hearing this, our friend was somewhat relieved, for he reflected that after all, he was a good church member. This hope, however, was destroyed by the doctors telling him that while his religious convictions were very good, in his case, they did not spell the necessary vital spiritual experience. Boom. That's why going to church every Sunday hasn't made you happier. The God that you go and visit the church every Sunday can make you happier, but you've been approaching it differently because you haven't allowed Him to fix all of your life, because you still think you have to do something to earn His love, His approval, heaven, a place in your church. I don't know. Here was a terrible dilemma in which our friend found himself when he had the extraordinary experience, which, as we have already told you, made him a free man. We, in turn, sought the same escape with all the desperation of drowning man. Are you reading your 84 to 88? If you're not, it's because you're not desperate, because you still think you can do it, because you don't need to follow direction, because you're different. Because this time you're going to be able to do it on your own, because there's a way that only you know. Forget about what these BBA people tell me to read these pages. Fuck them, man. I'm not going to read them every day. If I read them once a week, that should be enough. Well, good for you. That's not how it is. The transcribing is the whole transcribing, not just half-assing it. The questions is all the questions. Coming to these meetings is it's important. It's not only watch the video. Going to your homeworks with the homework done, it's a must. I cannot force you to do that, but that's how you live your life. Half-ass. So if you're not getting any results out of this, it's because of that. Is there anything more important than this in your life today? If you were drowning, how much would you work to go to the surface to take a breath? With all your might, right? Why don't you do your freaking homework? 5 pages a day. Go to meeting service, live in the circular triangle, because you still think you have air. Because you don't think you're drowning. Because this solution is not for you. Because you have a better way. This is for them. It's not for me. They're really screwed up. I can still manage. I mean, look at this guy in the podium. He's saying that he wanted to commit himself. Suicide. Never thought about that. I'm cool. I'm perfect. So let him read the pages. Let him do the transcribing. Let him do the questions. I don't have to do that. I just sit on Wednesdays or Thursdays listening to Oliver, and that will do. I mean, I'm intelligent, right? You still have air. You're not drowning. You still think that you can do it on your own. What seemed at first like a flimsy reed has proven to be the loving and powerful hand of God. A new life has been given to us. If you prefer, a design for living that really works. That's a promise. What's a design of living that really works? what's in pages 84 to 88. This workshop, the circle and the triangle. We come to AA not to stop drinking, it's to start living. We didn't come here to stop drinking, we come here to start living. Because I've been survivors all our lives. Have you lived your life or your life have lived you? Do you survive to whatever life throws at you? Or you live the experience of being alive? Isn't that why you're here? The distinguished American psychologist William James, another one, in his book Variety of Religious Experiences, indicates a multitude of ways in which men have discovered God. We have no desire to convince anyone that there is only one way by which faith can be acquired. If what we have learned and felt and seen means anything at all, it means that all of us, whatever our race, creed, or color, are the children of a living creator with whom we may form a relationship upon simple and understandable terms as soon as we are willing and honest enough to try. So pick your own conception of God. Remember, we talked about this at the beginning. Who is your God? Who you want your God to be? Those having religious affiliations will find here nothing disturbing to their beliefs or ceremonies. There is no friction among us over such matters. We think it no concerns of ours what religious bodies our members identify themselves with as individuals. This should be an entirely personal affair, which each one decides for himself in the light of past associations or his present choice. Not all of us join religious bodies, but most of us favor such memberships. There's something of value in those places, man. Religions have done a lot of harm, but they have also done a lot of good. These people have they have good shit to offer, but they sell theirs good. If you drop your prejudice, your judgment, maybe you can open your ears and listen for the first time. In the following chapter, there appears an explanation of alcoholism as we understand it. Then a chapter addresses to the agnostic. I love that chapter, my favorite chapter. Many who once were in this class are now among our members. Surprisingly enough, we find such convictions no great obstacles to our spiritual experience. Further on, clear-cut directions are given, showing how we recovered again. These are followed by 42 personal experiences. Each individual in the personal stories describing in his own language and from his own point of view the way he established his relationship with God again. This is the chapter of There's a Solution. The stories are not to show you how it is that they got to know themselves better and how they were willing to conquer their problems on their own. It's because there's so many hints. The solution is spiritual. The solution is about God. The solution is about a fourth dimension. This gives a fair cross-section of our membership and clear-cut idea of what has actually happened in their lives. We hope no one will consider this self-revealing concept bad taste. A hope is that many alcoholics, men and women, desperately in need, will see these pages, and we believe that it is only by fully disclosing ourselves and our problems that they will be persuaded to say, yes, I am one of them too. I must have this thing. So that's the end of our reading for today. Thank you for your attention, for your understanding, for your participation. And to conclude, it's very simple. Our obsession of the mind is as powerful as the obsession that we have on our bodies. Once the mental obsession takes a hold of yourself, there's nothing you can do to fix that. If you were able to fix that way in which you think, in which you perceive, in which you feel, you would have done it already. If you were of age. If you have been on this planet for over a decade, 2, 3, 4 decades, and you have tried, just like me, to live a happy, fruitful, joyful life, have you been able to achieve that on your own? Fully? Have you been surviving the world, surviving your life, or have you been living your life? What have you done with your life? Do you still think that you're in AA to fix your own problems with your own thinking? Can you see that the solution is spiritual? Do you see the absolute necessity of you finding that power? I don't have to tell you what power it is. You can choose that. But there is a fourth dimension. Dr. Jung has just told you right now, people like you, like me, are beyond human aid. The only thing that this man has experienced as recovery is sudden spiritual experiences in which God, that spirit, changes and rearranges your life. Not you, him. We have pounded this over and over and over again. I hope that you're closer to understanding your powerlessness. It's not only about drinking, drugging, eating, or controlling. It's about that way that you think, you perceive, you feel. If you still think you can fix that, sober or drunk, then you haven't gotten what we've been telling you here since the beginning. This has nothing to do with yourself. It has nothing to do with your knowledge. It has nothing to do with your power. You don't come here to learn. You come here to surrender. Thank you so much. My name is Oliver. I'm an alcoholic. I'll see you next week.